Welcome to the NAIOP Southern Nevada August Breakfast Program. My name is Cassie Catania Sue, and I am your 2024 NAIOP Southern Nevada Chapter President. And happy first week of school to all of those that celebrate, myself included. Good morning to everyone here in the audience at the Orleans and everyone joining us via Zoom. For all of you here in the room, don't forget that there are notepads and pens on your desk. So if you have any questions during Missy's presentation, please feel free to write them down. And Tutland, who is right in the center here, will be coming around to collect the questions at the end. I'd also like to take a moment to welcome a very special guest in the audience today. I would like to recognize City of North Las Vegas Councilman Richard Churchio, joining us here today. We also have Lindy from Panettone from NAIOP Northern Nevada and the corporate board. Thank you for joining us this morning, Lindy Dweller. And a moment, if there's any UNLV students in attendance today, if you'd like to please stand. I would like to take a quick moment to remind all of you, you probably saw the email that went out yesterday, but we do have a Government Affairs Committee, a special event on Tuesday, August 27th at Lowry's. It is a night out with elected officials. We have 8 elected officials that have confirmed attendance. It will be a speed dating format and a great opportunity for all of us members to meet and speak with our elected officials. There are a few spots left. Registration closes today, I believe, end of day. So if you are interested, make sure that you register. Tuesday, August 27th at Lowry's. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask Steve or Jamie. I didn't see them yet this morning, but I'm sure they're around. Now, quick, and thank you to the event sponsor for that, Kemper Crowell. Thank you. Now I'd like to take a moment to welcome to the stage Ms. Julie Cleaver, past chapter president and corporate board member, and NAIOP vice chair of education, to nudge all of you again about a friendly reminder for the upcoming CRE Converge conference this fall.
Thanks, Cassie. CRE Converge is less than 2 months away. Crap. I mean, that's really quick. Any of us that have been on the planning end of it, we're freaking out a little bit, but it's okay. It's going to be so great, so much fun. It's 3 days, October 8th through the 10th, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday is the day that where all the panelists, all the sessions, the CRE talks, all the drinking in the afternoon is going to be happening. We're going to start with happy hour at 3:30, followed by, I think CBRE is sponsoring a women in commercial real estate on the terrace right outside the conference, followed by getting your freak on at the Omnia nightclub. It's going to be really great. And said that, not me. Yeah, well, I know it's probably an old timers. I don't know. I don't care at this point. Tuesday is going to be tours. We're going to have 5 tours in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. Please go online and check it out. We are going to be all over the valley. We're going to be covering every topic that we can think of on commercial real estate. You're going to have fun. There's going to be swag, lunches. I've got sports executives coming to one of the tours. We'll have experts in their field and other tours, and it's just going to be a whole lot of fun. And then that afternoon, trying to get some sports figures to join us. We're in partnership with U.S. Hunger. We've got to pack 15,000 meals or more. It's a competition, so if we can beat last year's, that'd be awesome. But 15,000 meals in less than an hour. And then that's followed up by, I do want to give a shout out to the developing leaders. Is that how you say that? Thank you. Anyone that is 35 and younger is invited to this event. If you are over 35 and you think you look 35, that doesn't count. We will be looking at IDs. It's not going to be pretty, so just don't show up if you're over 35. But it's going to be at the Hangover Suite. That'll be really cool. and great networking event. This whole thing is a great networking event. In the morning on Wednesday, we have breakfast keynote. It will be Chuck Todd. It's going to be less than a month away from the election, so you'll get all the dirt, all the skinny on what's going on in all the races. That lunch is going to be Andre Agassi, born and raised, dear to our hearts. He's going to be talking about his career and business opportunities. And then on Thursday morning, we'll have a futurist. She's going to talk about, I think it's creating its future of cities, downtowns. So that's going to be really cool too. I hope you come. We already have, 50-some people from this chapter, but we have almost
100 though from our chapter, so we're halfway there.
That's great. We have almost 700 people in this chapter. We're one of the top 10 chapters. We are the best, I got to say. I am, David Strickland and I are corporate representatives. We meet people from all over the country. Some of them are a little strange. We are not strange. We are so talented. If you look around, there's so many talented people here, and you ought to feel really blessed to be a part of this group. You are part of this group, and we appreciate you every day. I think I've got to go.
Talon's about to cue the stage music.
Yeah, right. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Julie. Thanks for bringing some entertainment this morning. And yes, as Julie said, you are part of us, but if you're not a current member, we can also help you with that too. And Lindy is here also from the corporate board, so she did hear you say that we're the best. So she's probably going to be bringing the heat from Northern Nevada now. Thank you, Julie. But yes, as Julie said, Converge is coming up 8th through 10th. The Icon Cold Storage Conference is actually the first day on the 7th, too. If you'd like to add that on during registration, you can. And I believe they're doing 20% off registration for Icon if you add that to the front. But we are halfway to our goal of 100 of our members in attendance. So I think we had 56 when I heard this week from corporate. So if you're not registered, please do so. Thank you. Now let's take a moment to honor our President's Circle sponsors. They are a critical component to the success of our chapter, in addition to Julie's kazoo playing skills. So this year we have 4 platinum sponsors. Special thank you to each one. Cox Business has supported us for 21 years. Thank you. Gatsky Commercial Real Estate since 2022. Thank you. Martin Harris Construction since 2001. Thank you. And Schnitzer Properties since 2000. Thank you. Now we'd also like to take a moment to thank our President's Circle Gold sponsors, Howard Hughes, Kimley Horn and Associates, Majestic Realty Co., Nevada General Construction, Panatone Development Company, Prologis, and Southern Nevada Water Authority. Thank you. Now, please take a moment to check out the remaining President's Circle sponsors, starting with our silver sponsors. Thank you. Our bronze sponsors, thank you. And our copper level sponsors, thank you. And thank you, Miss Lisa Brady. And if you have any questions about President's Circle sponsorship, I saw her walk in. Oh, so there you are. I saw you. She can help you with that. We are about to start already soliciting for next year's President's Circle sponsorships for 2025. So not too early to have the conversation, right? We're going to keep upping the goal on Lisa. So any help you can give her a jump start will be great. And thank you to Matt Hoyt for covering for me last month. I did Zoom in from San Diego and noted that you guys were drinking early in the morning. So thank you. But now on to our committee announcements, another critical component to the success of our chapter. I will turn it over to our committee members who will share some exciting announcements for upcoming events.
Good morning, everyone. So Morgan Elson, Colliers International. I'm with the bus tour committee. Our 2024 bus tour is going to be November 14th. We're busy planning this event. It's going to be called NAIOP, so Monopoly themed this year. It's a stay-in-place, a half-day event here at the Orleans. We do have some sponsorship opportunities still left. If you are interested, reach out to me, Jonna, or Jerry Doty, and we'll get you taken care of. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jerica Doe. I'm from Monero General Contractor, and I'm a new member of the Community Service Committee. I have to just say, community service has always been a really big part of my life, even before I joined the committee. It's the fastest way to get this bracelet off of my ankle. I was checking to see if you were paying attention. It looks like the coffee is working. All right. So community service is currently sponsoring the Hollingsworth STEAM Academy, and I can see that over here to my left, your right, we have got a lot of great donations, so thank you to everyone who brought donations today. I'm going to call out my new buddy Mike, who helped me bring a box up that I never would have gotten up here without his help. We are still running this drive until August 23rd. This is still a good time to get on Amazon, or you can go to Target. It's really inexpensive to, pick up some school supplies. These kids could really use our help. This STEAM Academy is downtown. You can also go over there and pick up a flyer. There's a QR code where you can donate. You can call a member of our committee or talk to one of us about arranging a pickup at your office. I'm just really excited to be here and to continue to support the Las Vegas community with this amazing group of professionals. So thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Jen Levine, industrial broker with Realcomm Advisors, and a graduate of the first and best DLI class of 2009.
Nice try, Levine.
You know it. You know it.
I'm up here too.
Okay, forget you. And I just want to announce, I'm so excited to say that we have chosen our 2025 class. And if you are in the room, please stand and be recognized.
Woo!
Their
Yeah,
names are up
look at
here.
this class.
You are joining
Trace,
the best
you better
group
stand up.
in this organization. We are super
Yeah.
excited to have you. Thank you.
Look at
This group,
class. I
the
love
DLI
it.
program was originally instituted to grow our leadership in this organization, and we have done a phenomenal job. When I was on the board, I think half of us were DLI grads. Every single committee has been chaired at one time or another by DLI grads, and I believe we've had, including our president-elect, 6 presidents, at least 2 or 3 who have been nationally recognized for their chapter leadership. So we are doing exactly what we set out to do, but we need your help to keep this program going at the highest level. We have a few sponsorships left, so if you want to sponsor the future leadership of this organization, including our current president, please see me, Thomas Godbout, or Katrina. Thank you.
So, Jen, the question is, where are they gonna fall in line with the best class ever? So let's see. There's a high bar, class of 2025. I'm watching.
Morning, everybody. Mike Goodwin with Schnitzer Properties here to talk on behalf of the Education Committee. We've got a great event coming up on the 23rd. This one's going to be about the reality of EVs and how this is affecting commercial real estate. This one's a little bit of a later start time, so 9 a.m. Good excuse for a late start on a Friday. Not too early to register. That registration is open. It's going to be a good event. We'd like to see you there.
Good morning, everybody. Gaetana Cafaso with Burke Construction here on behalf of the NAIOP Spotlight Awards. So we have set the date. It is Saturday, March 1st at Red Rock Casino. NAIOP nights, so get your best tropical colors for cocktail attire. Stay tuned for the sponsorship announcements coming in early September. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Art Green. I'm with Geotechnical Environmental Services. Some of you look absolutely amazing. We did some accessorizing today. Some of us need to still accessorize. I am part of the membership committee, and I want to talk to you about the best day of your life, which is going to be October 12th. That's when we're having Oktoberfest. That's why you're all adorned. Well, some of you are adorned. I'll get you on the way back to my table. It's going to be the best day of your life. I'm sorry, it's September 12th. It's Oktoberfest. We still have $500 sponsorships available. You should have seen advertisements already to become a participant in this event. It's going to be at Uncommons at the Assembly. If you have not registered, we've made it easy. All you have to do is scan that QR code, and you can register to be part of the best day of your professional life, which is September 12th at NAIOP's Oktoberfest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to everyone that serves on a committee and all of our committee leadership. We very much appreciate all that you do. And I'm very excited about Missy, and I was told to really wrap it up, so I'm going to talk at like 3 times speed here for the rest. And this month, real quick, I would like to also honor and recognize any of our new members. So if you are a new member, please stand to be recognized. Welcome. We are currently 737 members strong and still ranking in the top 10 nationally. So we're very proud of that. And if you're not a member yet, you should be. And any of us here in the room with the board of directors tag on our badge can help you. So let us know. And real quick, before we hand this over, I would like to take a moment to recognize this month's member shout out. We are committed to still doing that every month. And this month, I would like to recognize Mr. Chris Teachman, Vice President of Lee and Sakahara Architects. Where is he? Hi. Thank you, Chris, for all that you do for the organization. We know that you have been heavily involved as a member since 2013, and you've taken a very active role in both the Government Affairs Committee and the Community Service Committee over the years, and you consistently go above and beyond for the chapter. I know I've seen you at just about every community service event, and you really shepherd the big heavy lift project that we did for St. Jude's back in 2019 when we redid several of the cabins for them out at St. Jude's Children's Ranch in Boulder City. And we could not have done that without you. We renovated 4 1,200 square foot cabins, basically kind of from inside out, ground up, including new roofs. So, and I know you're heavily involved with Ronald McDonald, the community in schools, Thanksgiving meals, and everything else that we do for the chapter. Thank you for always volunteering and raising your hand to help however needed. We appreciate you. And then I'd like to also recognize our 2024 breakfast meeting sponsors: American Nevada Realty, Carpenter Sellers Delgado Architects, Cox Business, Gatsky Commercial Real Estate, Martin Harris Construction, McCarthy Building Companies, Inc., Envy Energy, R&O Construction, Southern Nevada Water Authority, Southland Industries, and our breakfast Wi-Fi sponsor, Schnitzer Properties. Thank you. And thank you to today's breakfast sponsor, American Nevada Realty. I would like to introduce Miss Natalie Stagnita, newly married. Congratulations. And she actually just visited Catania, Sicily, so I'm excited to hear about that. She is the Vice President of Property Management with American Nevada Realty. Welcome to the stage, Natalie.
I'll be quick too. Good morning, I'm Natalie with the new last name. And today I'm excited to share the evolution of American Nevada's 50-year history in the Las Vegas Valley. What you might not know is that ANC has transitioned from a leading master plan developer to a premier third-party property management company. The team and I bring a unique owner's perspective to our range of services, including property management, asset management, in-house accounting, 24-hour maintenance, response, risk, and property management. We are proud of our journey and look forward to continuing a positive impact on our industry. Thank you, Cassie and NAIOP, for allowing us to be today's breakfast sponsor.
Thank you, Natalie, and congrats on 50 years. All right. Now on to our program. Ms. Suzette, are you going to introduce Missy? Okay. Suzette is going to introduce Missy to the stage for her presentation on AI. Very excited.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Suzette LaGrange with Colliers International, and really it is my honor to introduce both Hayim and Missy for this program. We're going to do, Missy is going to do a 30-minute presentation on AI and commercial real estate, and then Hayim's going to come up and join her and do a 15-minute Q&A. So first, I want to introduce Hayim Mizrachi, CCIM. He's a proud Las Vegas native and graduate of UNLV. He is CEO, principal, and broker at MDL Commercial, where he oversees brokerage activities including sales, leasing, and management. He served as president of several key industry organizations, including a past president here of NAIOP, and also Commercial Marketing Group and Commercial Alliance of Las Vegas. Hayim's actively involved in the Las Vegas Jewish community, and he also shares his insights and experiences through his award-winning podcast, Takeaways. So we'll have Hayim up a little bit later in the program. Thank you. Really my honor to introduce Missy Young. She is a dear friend, I think now at least 15, 16 years. You want to talk about a badass woman in this community, and that is her. I'm sorry. I hope you take that as a compliment. She is amazing. Missy Young is a senior fellow and former chief information officer at Switch. She drives the company's solutions architecture to create a fundamental and sustainable change in the way clients ultimately design and implement intelligent data strategies. As a technologist, Missy has played a pivotal role in the company's evolution from the most innovative data center company in the world to the world's only exascale retail co-location ecosystem that it is today. Since joining the company in 2005, Missy has had leadership roles for sales operations, solutions engineering, with respect to potential clients and win-win contract negotiations. Her experience in technology trends, forecasting client needs, and connecting those trends with results has been a great asset to Switch and its success. In 2022, she helped take Switch private via the acquisition by DigitalBridge for $11 billion. As a public speaker, Missy continues to take the unique message of Switch to the world and frequently speaks on the topics of leadership and empowering women. Missy serves on the board of the Just One Project, the Foundation Board for Opportunity Village, Girl Scouts of Southern Nevada, and the Desert Research Institute Foundation Board. Additionally, Missy is a strong advocate for the certification path of education for young students who desire to enter the technology field and for keeping the A for arts in STEAM. Missy, it's my honor. Please come on up and tell us all about it. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It is cold enough in here to freeze meat. I don't know if you guys agree. So if my hands turn blue, my lips turn blue, that's why. So how many of you, because I want to kind of gauge people's expertise or awareness in this area, how many of you have been to Switch for a tour? Okay, good number of you. Those of you who haven't, how many of you have ever been inside of a data center? Okay, some of you, or like a telco closet, or a room where there were some computers. Anything? Okay, all right. So if you are not understanding something that I'm saying, I'm going to be watching all your faces. Just look really confused, and I'll try to explain what I'm talking about a little bit better. Because this can get a little interesting for those of you who don't live the type of world that I live in. And so I'm going to be talking about the nuts and bolts side of AI, the non-sexy part that people don't really talk about. Everybody's all into all the wonderful benefits that come from AI and some of the scary things that might happen from AI, you know, like if you've seen Terminator, you know, we don't want that to happen. There's no guarantees that it won't. But there's stuff required to make that run. Okay, that's about as basic as I can say it. But how did we get to where we are today? So I don't know if you guys can read any of this stuff, but this is what happens every single minute of the day right now. So every single 60 seconds, over 16 million texts are sent. Over 231 million emails are sent every 60 seconds. And there are 625 million videos watched on TikTok every 60 seconds. The one that really got me, though, was 3.5 billion Snapchats every 60 seconds. That's what your children are doing, okay? I'm not even on Snapchat. It's not my favorite thing. But so what this means is that technology has just become just completely enmeshed in our daily life, right? Anybody here bank online? Come on. I know you all do. Right? But remember when we had to drive down to the bank and walk inside and wait in line and hand somebody your check and they would look at it and, oh, I got to get a manager to approve that one and stamp it, and then maybe 3 to 5 days later it would post to your account. Right? We all remember that? Most people in here should remember that. Now, we're mad if we can't do what we want to do online within 7 seconds. Okay, so banks know they got to keep those servers on. When you log in, because you got to do a transaction, you might have been working with the same bank for 30 years, and they've taken amazing care of you. They've always been there for you, excellent customer service. But the one day comes when you have got to log in right now and move money from here to there, and their website is down. You will start thinking about changing banks within 7 seconds of being inconvenienced online. That's what companies are up against. They cannot be off, ever. And so that's what data centers do. Data centers make sure that companies are never off for any reason. So people ask me, okay, what does Switch sell? You guys sell power and cooling and connectivity? Well, yeah, but what we really are providing at the end of the day is a service called uptime. Our customers can't ever be off. And Switch's customers never have been off. We have a perfect uptime record since the day the company was founded in the year 2000. So if you want to pay for something using PayPal today, PayPal's going to work because it runs at Switch. So that's what we do. But all of this enmeshment in technology means that businesses are really on the hook to figure out how to be digitally led, right? How to be technology forward. And so 93% of organizations are adapting or plan to adapt a digital-first business strategy. They have to have it. Every single company now that you guys work with, I don't care what industry they're in, every single one of those companies is a tech company, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not. You have to become a tech company in order to stay forward in this day and age. And so 63% of respondents characterize the implementation of generative AI as a high or a very high priority, but 91% of those same people don't feel like they're very prepared to do so in a responsible manner. So, and for 56% of those organizations, they also know that in order to do AI, they've got to buy new machines, new servers, new computers that are specifically built to run AI workloads. Those aren't cheap, okay? That stuff costs money. So, there we go. Artificial intelligence is here, it's growing, and it's coming for you. It's coming for your customers. It's coming for their businesses. Make no mistake. It's not changing. Go. There we go. So the global AI market, globally, is currently valued at $184 billion. The AI industry value is projected to increase by 5 times over the next 7 years. That's astronomical. The US AI market is forecast to reach $320 billion by 2026. By 2025, that's next year, you guys, as many as 97 million people will work in the AI space. 97 million people. So a lot of people like to focus on the fact that, you know, the statistics say that 83 million jobs will be lost or eliminated over the next couple of years. 97 million new ones will be created in AI. And so 84% are currently exploring how do we do AI in our business? How do we put AI into our products, our services, our operations? How do we do that? And in the automotive and aerospace industry, organizations surveyed predicted a 59% increase in job creation due to AI over the next 5 years. So there's a lot of cool new jobs coming out. So if you have kids who are looking at what should I do with my life, this is a great place for them to start. Let's look at some of the jobs that are most likely to be disrupted. Don't worry, yours is not on the list. Interpreters. Pretty sure I can get an app to do that now. I don't really necessarily need a live human interpreter at this point, do I? Surgeons. That's a scary one. Yeah, AI-powered robots can operate with extreme precision. But then the question comes up, do I want a robot operating on me, or do I want a human who actually gives a crap about whether or not I live or die? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That might be a personal question for every single one of us, but that's coming. Go. Radiologists. If I was a radiologist, I would absolutely be looking to find out how do I go back to school and find something new to do. And here's why. When you have an MRI, your radiologist is going to read that scan, and it's going to compare that scan against every single MRI that he or she has ever seen that's cataloged in their memory. But AI can take that scan and immediately compare it against millions of MRIs for the exact same thing and narrow it down by gender, age, demographics, prior medical history, all of those things, and come up with a much more accurate, much, much quicker diagnosis than a human can. So you better believe the insurance companies are going to want radiologists to go away and AI to replace them. It's cheaper, and it's better diagnosis. So that's something that's coming. Warehouse workers, we all know this is happening already, right? Amazon's warehouses, all these huge warehouses are employing robots now to do all of the physical sorting, so that one's not a surprise. Farmers. I don't know if you guys know anything about Gen Z, but there's not a lot of them that are encouraging themselves to go into farming. Farming is a dying art, but we still need food, right? And so since not a lot of humans want to go into farming, we have got to replace the humans with AI-powered robots who can do all the work that the farmers used to do. Military. So we all know about drones. We know about robotic soldiers. You know, I'm an Army mom, and so I definitely see the value of sending drones or robots in to do the job that human soldiers could do. But I also don't necessarily like the thought of giant robot armies that could potentially be controlled by who knows who, right? So the good with the bad. Customer service jobs, every single one of us has already interacted with a bot online, you know, with the online chats and stuff. You're not talking to a human. Have you been on the phone with these online automated systems and you're like, representative, human, person, like what word is going to work to connect me to a live living human being, right? We've all done this. Business automation, think front desk receptionist, think executive assistant. These are the types of jobs that could potentially be replaced by AI. Restaurant workers. I had a robot deliver room service to my room in a hotel, and I opened up the door and I was like, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are probably riding through at this moment. I mean, it's bizarre, but there are now robots starting. Has anybody seen robots in restaurants? I have, yeah, it's crazy. But that's coming, and the interesting thing about this, and the Vegas restaurant owners can really like this, that the robots are gonna show up to work. Right, so fashion retail, same thing. There are now stores that you don't even have to interact with a single human being. You walk in, you pick up what you need, and as you walk out, it scans what you bought and charges your card, and you never interact or talk to anybody. So that's where we're at. Now, the top jobs in AI, once I get through this list, if you guys want to take a picture of the screen for your pre-college age kids, that's totally cool. I'm not going to belabor what all of these are because I don't have enough time to explain what all these people do. AI product manager, research scientist, ethics specialist, super important, cybersecurity analyst, computer vision engineer, data scientist, machine learning engineer, natural language processing engineer. That's the type of technology that can read and listen to your speech and understand what you're saying and turn it into language that can talk back to you. That's what natural language processing does. Robotics engineer, and AI for healthcare. So if anybody needs to take a picture of that, you certainly can. And you don't necessarily have to have degrees to do this. They can get certifications and go into tech. I'm a big fan of certifications. Typically, I would prefer to hire people with certifications from companies rather than 4-year degrees in computer science. By the time you get a 4-year degree in computer science, every single thing you learned is already obsolete. So that's kind of what I was looking for when I would hire at Switch. So by 2024, this year, 40% of enterprise applications will have embedded conversational AI, meaning you can talk back and forth to the app, which is up from less than 5%. So we've gone from 5% in 2020 to 40% now. By 2025, next year, 30% of enterprises will have implemented AI-augmented development and testing strategies. By 2026, this is a year and a half from now, over 100 million humans will engage robo-colleagues to contribute to their work. By 2027, it's 2.5 years from now, nearly 15% of new applications, new apps, will be automatically generated by AI without a human in the loop. So that's where we're headed. Everybody feel super confident about our future? Awesome. Anybody see this image before? This image is called the Balenciaga Pope. And somebody generated this using AI, using ChatGPT, and it is a picture of the Pope wearing a $4,000 puffy jacket by Balenciaga. And people were outraged. How does the Pope have money why is he wearing a puffy jacket to go out and talk to the poor masses? I mean, it was a whole thing. And then, of course, it was shown that it was fake. Somebody used ChatGPT to create this image. And then articles were written about it. And, you know, it was shared millions of times all across the world, this outrage that people had. Number one, that the Pope would wear this jacket. And then number two, that they were fooled, right? But one thing I want you to realize is that this image went viral, and therefore every single time you saw it and shared it, or you read a tweet about it, or you clicked on an article, this image is generating the usage of electricity. If you pull this up on your phone, it's using electricity on your phone that you have to eventually recharge. If you watch it on your computer, if you send it, whatever it is, this image, just this one photo that somebody created, generated a lot of usage of watts around the world to share this image. Every single thing that you do online takes electricity. And I know that sounds pretty basic, like you go, well, yeah, of course, but people forget that that's what happens every time you're using stuff. When you watch Netflix, if you play video games online, or your kids do, if you're banking online, whatever it is, it all takes power to run that. So all of that power powers servers that have to live somewhere. They either live in customers' on-prem data centers, meaning they have a room or a building on their campus or on their property where they run all of their computers, or they co-locate it, meaning they give it to a third-party provider like Switch to run those machines inside Switch or other third-party co-location providers. And so what's happening right now is the rapid rise of AI. We call it the gold rush of AI. The AI players and the cloud computing providers are rapidly consuming as much infrastructure as we can possibly build faster than we can possibly build it. We are selling entire 500,000 square foot data centers before we even pour the concrete. Like, it's insane what's happening in the data center industry. So this is something that every one of your customers is going to be competing against. If they need data center space, they are competing with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, CoreWeave, all these big, huge AI companies and cloud computing companies for all of the available data center space in this country. That's what they're up against. And companies have adopted a hybrid cloud and colo solution. So what does that mean? I'll take this slow. So you guys have heard of cloud computing? Yes? Everybody's heard of cloud? Okay. Cloud computing, the cloud does not live above us. It is an actual real physical space. A politician said that it wasn't real and it lived up in the heavens and it wasn't a physical thing. It's actually a physical place. Okay, so if you drive down the 215 and you see Switch's big buildings, that is the physical place where the clouds live. So the clouds are cloud companies have massive amounts of servers, and basically companies like my customers will say, hey, Amazon, I'm going to give you this chunk of my data and you're going to run it on your machines. Okay? And so, but some of their stuff, they're going, oh, this is my crown jewels. This is the most important part of my data. I don't want to give that to the cloud because I don't necessarily trust the cloud computing providers that implicitly. So I'm going to give some of my data to them to run, and the other data that I have that's the most important, it's going to live on my servers and it's going to run in my data center or in a co-location data center. And so that's a hybrid solution. Some cloud, some colo. Make sense? Okay. 78% of companies out there are this hybrid solution. Very few companies do private cloud only, meaning they run every single thing themselves anymore. Only 2%. And not that many, only 19% do everything in the public cloud. There's not 100% trust of the public cloud because the clouds have had multiple software-based outages over time. So many enterprise companies have moved large workloads to the cloud out of their own data centers. So if you have companies that are still running their own data centers on their property in a server closet or in one of their buildings or whatever, now part of those data centers are sitting empty. Because if they take 60% of their data and give it to the cloud, they don't need that 60% of the machines that they used to run in those rooms anymore. So now you get rooms that look like this, sitting there half empty. But they still have to pay to cool the room. They still have to pay to power all the machines that are still in there. They still have to pay for all the networking. And it sort of becomes a big boat anchor on their budget, on their finances. But what do they do? How do they fix that? Well, they need to, if they're going to go into AI, they need to buy new machines. And unfortunately, their data centers on their property are not built to run the types of densities. And by densities, I mean how much power can go into a rack. So a rack, imagine it's actually about like this size, maybe a little larger, okay? Like a big refrigerator would be a size of a rack, and they stuff it as full of gear as they possibly can. Gear meaning servers and computers, like they just cram it all in there. And so those densities, meaning how much power do I need to populate all the machines in the rack, is doubling and tripling and quadrupling because of the new servers that are being created by companies like Dell, these new 8-way GPUs that just require ridiculous amounts of power in order to generate these AI workloads, in order to support all of the amazing benefits to our lives that we all want, right? We all want this stuff. This is why companies are running after this, because the more AI they put into their products, the more we as consumers want to consume it. So this is what it looks like inside Switch for one of our customers. These are some of eBay's racks. And so this is about 50 kilowatts per rack. So it's about 50 homes worth per rack of power. So 1 kilowatt is an average about one home, an average home. And so this is 50 homes worth of power in each one of these racks. And it all generates ridiculous amounts of heat. You guys ever try to compute with a laptop on your knees? Can't do it for long, can you? Because it gets too hot. Right? Well, imagine hundreds of thousands of high-performance computers all running together and generating heat all at the same time. You have to be able to cool that. So these old data centers that people are still operating inside their rooms look like this. This is terrible. But this is what you see in the center here. That's called a spot cooler. They're trying to cool a hot spot because they've got equipment that's putting out too much heat. This data center that looks like this will never be able to run AI, because it can't do the power, it can't do the cooling, and you can't retrofit it enough to make it do what it needs to do for AI workloads. This is old and busted. This is new hotness. Okay, so this is what your data center should look like if you are going to try to run AI workloads. And some of these racks, like if you see these, this is also about 50 kilowatts per rack. Each one of these racks with all of this equipment weighs about 5,000 pounds each. So if you guys have been in other data centers before, you've probably seen rooms that have raised floor. It's got these floor tiles in it, and they have air conditioning units in there that blow cold air up under those floor tiles. Those floor tiles cannot handle the weight of these types of racks. You get this happening. A really bad day here, where you can see the floor tiles at the bottom of the page. The rack's tipped over, and now everyone is having a terrible day. So, and also, this is how I feel about this mess. Over time, because you run all the cabling under the floor in these old data centers, and you have air conditioning units that are supposed to be forcing the cold air through underneath the floor tiles, well, now the air can't move because you have too much cabling blocking the airflow, and nobody is ever going to untangle all of this stuff. And this just sets my OCD off so bad. Like, I can't handle this kind of cabling nonsense. But this is what you'll see in these older data centers. It is a Band-Aid upon a Band-Aid upon a Band-Aid. So it also can look like this. I would fire everyone if I ran a company and walked in and this is what my data center looked like. I mean, it's so bad. And so you go, okay, how is this IT team going to run AI workloads, right? How is it going to advance and step into the future and run these new servers from Dell and generative AI and all of those things? This is the data center of the future. So these are what the inside of our newest data centers will look like when they open. These racks you'll see here, this all liquid cooling to the chip of the servers. And so we can power and cool racks up to 200 kilowatts per rack. And that's the requests that we're getting from companies out there who are aggressively going after AI. And so this is what companies need to be able to do, and they cannot do it in the data centers that they own and operate. So it's called the EVO chamber, and if you want to get really technical, we can spin our propellers together, and I can tell you all about the patents there. But basically, we can do air cooling, and we can do liquid cooling right to the chip, and so we can support the heaviest, highest workloads for AI companies. But mission-critical uptime is still always going to be the most important thing. It's foundationally important to the success of businesses. Anybody ever have to deal with a company having an outage? Anybody fly in Delta last week? Yeah, that's a scary time. But yeah, so uptime is super critical. And so when outages do occur, they're becoming more expensive. Case in point, CrowdStrike. You guys heard of all the CrowdStrike outage, right, that happened? Delta's announced that they're suing CrowdStrike for like $500 million. I'm like, ooh, that's a hefty sum. But CrowdStrike is going, hey, Delta, how come all your competitors recovered much faster than you did? So it's going to be interesting to see where that legal battle goes, but this is the impact of downtime, right? Also, a lot of people don't keep a lot of IT staff on site in those data centers, so when an outage does happen, there's nobody right there in order to go fix it. This is why a lot of people co-locate to third-party providers like Switch, because we've always got people there to deal with anything that might come up instantaneously so that there's no impact. There's also extreme weather events happening. You guys have noticed that, right? Extreme weather is happening. A heat wave hit London a couple years ago and knocked the Google data center offline and knocked the National Health Services data centers offline, which means all the hospitals in London had to pause everything and cancel all the surgeries for a few days until the data center was able to recover. But no one expected high heat in London, right? Why would you expect that? And so the data centers were not prepared to handle it, and as such, their cooling systems couldn't deal with it, and so they had an outage that lasted several days. Wild weather ahead. This headline said 2024 could be a scorcher, which was after the hottest year on record, which was 2023. And spoiler alert, if I can get to it, it is officially the hottest month in Vegas history. This past July was the hottest month in Vegas's history. So we're breaking records with the heat. And so this is what your customers are going to have to deal with as they evolve and try to work AI into their products, their services, and their operations. How is their data center going to handle all of the extreme weather that keeps occurring all over the globe? And there's all kinds of outages due to human error, wildfires, earthquakes, all kinds of different reasons why data centers could be knocked offline. So companies now, because of all of this, they're realizing that they are not experts in designing, building, and operating world-class data centers that can guarantee mission-critical uptime, which has become so foundationally important to the success of their business. So they are outsourcing it. Here's a great case in point, Delta. We're just going to pick on Delta today. A few years ago, not this past outage with CrowdStrike, but this was a few years back, they had a massive outage in their data center that they own and operate in Atlanta. And so their primary power system caught fire, and the backup power system caught fire as well because it was right next to it. So, they were dark for 2 days. All their flights were grounded. And so Delta ended up losing about $150 million in damages to their customers from that outage. So companies are realizing, hey, we don't want to be in that boat. So they are moving to co-location data centers. But the challenge that we're having now is that our data centers that we're building, and every single third-party data center provider, Switch and everybody else out there, is in the same boat. They're being consumed faster than we can construct them. And I mean, like, majorly fast. Like, before we pour the concrete, they're sold. It's nuts. So this is what your customers are going to be competing with when they need data center space. Go. So private equity has noticed. They have helped take almost all of the data center providers out there like Switch private. We've all gone private because we all have to enter into this massive growth phase of tons of construction. And the stock market doesn't like it when you spend a ton of money. They just want to see profits. And so in order to do the construction that we need to do, we had to go private. And pretty much every other data center company in the industry has done the exact same thing because we're all building as fast as we can. This is a rendering of the 2 data centers that we're building in Austin. The building in the middle is Dell's headquarters. So these 2 data centers are going on either side of Dell's headquarters. And both of them are still under construction, but they were completely sold, not to Dell. They were sold to a bunch of other customers before we could even get the roofs on. So, this is just a really bizarre time in the industry. We're also expanding in Atlanta, we're expanding in Grand Rapids and Reno and Vegas. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the Switch technology ecosystem in Las Vegas, this is the world's largest technology ecosystem right here in Las Vegas. So when people think casinos are the only thing that's going on here, they don't know what they're talking about. So 5 trends that are booming in the data center economy is the AI gold rush is boosting data center demand, but a shakeout looms. The shakeout is that nobody's going to be able to get capacity because it's all being sold so fast to all the big players. So all other businesses out there, if they're not planning right now for what they need from a data center perspective for the next 2 years out, if they're not planning today, they're behind the 8 ball and they're not going to get it. They're not going to get anything. So they have to plan right now for what they need 2 years from now. And if you're not telling your customers that, then you are doing them a disservice because they don't necessarily understand what's happening in the industry, what I'm explaining to you right now. Cloud and AI are competing for all the data center bandwidth. So that's who all of your customers are competing with. They're competing against the combined forces of Google and Microsoft and Amazon and NVIDIA and all of these other huge companies. International data center expansion is also ramping up, but of course that's not necessarily a viable option for a lot of businesses that operate in the US. They don't want to go overseas. And sustainability is becoming more than a buzzword. Sustainability is massively important because if we're going to run all this power to all these data centers and all these companies are going to run all this AI, we got to make sure we're not destroying the planet at the same time, right? And so we have to continually innovate in order to keep the industry moving forward, and that's exactly what's happening. So why the AI industry's thirst for new data centers can't be satisfied? Why it can't be satisfied is because, and I know you all get this in the bones of your soul, construction takes time, right? Like we can create new apps and new AI software and all these cool programs and code and do the things, but construction still takes as long as construction takes. No matter how much you speed it up, it's still going to take longer than every one of my customers wants it to take. But of course, we're not going to speed it up so much that then the construction process becomes unsafe for the people who are working on the site. And so construction just takes time. You have to get the concrete poured. You have to tilt the walls up. You got to put the roofs on. You got to put all the things. You guys know. And so that's why there's a problem. The AI industry is like, go, go, go. And the data center industry is like, we're trying. We're trying. Construction just takes time. So amid rising power prices, though, because power prices are going up, I'm sure you guys have all seen that, American Electric Power, which is a big power company throughout the Midwest and south of the US, expects 15 gigawatts of new data center capacity. Their current system-wide peak load is 35. So that's a 42% increase just for new data centers through 2030. That's a lot of power. To put it in perspective, the Hoover Dam, anybody know how much power at peak load, the massive capacity, max capacity of the Hoover Dam, anybody know? It's 2 gigawatts. Right now it's producing 1. And just so you know, the vast majority of that power goes to California and Arizona, not Nevada. Some of it goes to Nevada, but most of it goes to other states. So this is what's happening. So there's going to be continue to be a massive increase in demand for power from the power companies. So we have had 3 industrial revolutions over the past few hundred years, and we sucked at protecting the planet as we went through all of those 3 industrial revolutions, right? We did the whole coal thing, the plastics thing, and so we ended up with air pollution, water pollution, giant islands of plastic floating trash in the oceans. I mean, just we've been terrible at this, and so we need to be better as we march forward into this next age. We need to have a 4th industrial evolution, not a revolution. We need to evolve better this time and do it better than we've been doing it in the past. So ESG, have you guys heard of ESG? Yeah, ESG, environmental social governance. This is essentially a scorecard that businesses use in order to rank how they are performing in these 3 areas. And so this has become super important to businesses out there. Very important, according to 74% of businesses. And you know who else it's important to? It's important to your customers' investors and their customers. There's a lot of investors out there who won't even touch a company if they don't have good ESG scores. So it's becoming super important. Switch, for example, has amazing ESG scores. We've been powered by 100% clean and renewable energy since the beginning of 2016. So every one of our facilities is powered by clean energy. So every single one of our clients can responsibly and truthfully tell all of their customers that all of their servers, all the AI that they're doing, all of that stuff is running on a 0 carbon footprint. We've eliminated Scope 1 and 2 emissions. We are also building a water reclamation plant up in Reno on the Truckee River that will make our entire company net water positive, meaning we'll be using less water than we take. So switch your data center. That is an action item. And so what do I mean by that? I mean exactly what I'm talking about. Companies, and the vast majority of them want to, learn how to implement AI. They've got to get out of that old data center that they're running on their property, and they've got to do it better. So Rob Carter, who is the CIO of FedEx, he came up with what he calls a 0-50-50 strategy. By that, he told his company that by the year 2025, I want FedEx to own and operate 0 data centers. I don't want to have any data centers on our properties because that is not our core business. Just like if I want to fly to New York, I'm not going to build my own plane. I'm going to outsource that to a company that flies planes to New York. If I need to have heart surgery, I'm not going to go watch a YouTube video and try to do it myself. I'm going to outsource that to an expert, right? And so Rob Carter from FedEx is saying the exact same thing. Let's outsource this to the expert. So 0 owned and operated data centers. 50% of the data is going to go into a couple of different cloud providers. The other 50%, which is their crown jewels, the data that's most important to FedEx, that's going to run on their servers that they own and operate inside of Switch. And so that's his strategy for them to have success going forward. The other action item, optimize your network. What do I mean by that? Network, I mean all the telecommunications connectivity that it takes for a company to connect to the internet or to connect to its other locations or to connect to its data centers. Most executives are not satisfied with their network. And how do I know that? Because none of us are. Remember when we thought we were cool because we had dial-up? And then DSL came along and we were like, dial-up sucks, let's get DSL. So we all had DSL, and we were like, oh yeah. And then T1s came out, oh, we got to get a T1. Now you get 100 meg Ethernet. Now I can get a gigabit of Ethernet to my house. We all constantly want more and more and more connectivity. Why? Because we keep adding devices that need more and more connectivity. How many TVs do we have in our house now that can stream? How many video game consoles do we have? How about putting a security system in your house that has cameras, and you need to be able to look at your cameras live? Right? All of that takes way more bandwidth. And so we constantly have this thirst for more bandwidth, and companies are in the same boat. They constantly need more bandwidth, especially as they start generating AI. Remember the Balenciaga Pope? Every time that was shared, that increased somebody's network capacity every single time. So there's rising prices, though, in telecom. Copper prices are going up, which I'm sure y'all are aware of. And so it's really important to companies to have very robust networks because, again, they can't be off for any reason, but they're also a little shocked by the skyrocketing prices. So what can customers do? They can join a buying cooperative. And so the time for intelligent telecom purchasing is now. Joining a buying cooperative can really change the game. So what happens is all of Switch's customers are member of a giant purchasing cooperative in telecom. Right now, the Switch buying cooperative represents a little over $8 trillion of combined market cap that we go out and represent to all the carriers in the world, all the telecommunications providers, to negotiate and leverage the buying power of the whole for telecommunications pricing for every single client, large and small. And so you can imagine my small to medium-sized customers would never have any buying power on their own. But now, because they're part of this cooperative, they have the same buying power as Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Disney, Sony, NVIDIA, all these companies combined. So it helps to really lower telecom prices for everybody. We'll just do one quick case study. So one of the world's largest biotechnology companies, which Fortune 100, you would have heard of them, using the buying power of the cooperative, we lowered all the pricing for their big 10 gig circuits that connect all their data centers together. We repriced their 162 circuit MPLS global network and increased the capacity of that network by 58%. And we repriced all their global internet services, meaning all the internet connectivity that they have at every building that they own around the world. And we increased the capacity there by 242%. All in all, we were able to lower this company's costs by $519,000 a month. So $500,000 a month in savings, which more than paid for the power and the space and the cooling that they use at Switch. So by joining a cooperative, it completely zeroed out the costs of their data center deployment. So purchasing telecom intelligently is very important, and you guys recommending that to your customers makes you a hero. So other action item, build and scale your AI. You have to have a use case, right? You have to figure out where you're going to use AI in your business. What are the most valuable use cases with the quickest time to get to that value? The skills. Do you have the necessary skills in-house to use AI? Data. Do you actually have the data to address the use case that you want to hit? Technology. Given the problem and the skills, what's the technology that you need in order to carry out your AI goals? And the organization. This might require a little bit of a reorg or some staffing up in order to do what it is you need to do. So implementing responsible generative AI is all about governance and people. And so what do we mean by responsible? Well, we mean your AI needs to be watched. A lot of people need to have eyeballs on how that code is written. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a bank and you have AI that you've bought and paid for, this big AI package, or you have people in-house who are writing the code, and it's supposed to evaluate loan applications. The AI engine is given 2 loan applications, and they're both identical as far as credit scores and money in the bank and job history, basically identical. But one application is for John Smith, and the other one is for Deshante Washington. Depending on who programmed that AI, will the AI have a bias towards John Smith over Deshante Washington? I don't know. But this is why we have to have lots of eyeballs on the code, because we want it to reflect our best ethics and morals of our society. Because you go, okay, whose ethics and morals are in the AI that's being generated by companies in North Korea? It's probably Kim Jong-il's ethics. That's probably who's governing what's being created over there. And so it's really important that a lot of eyeballs are on the code and that it's tested thoroughly to make sure it doesn't have biases towards different people groups. There was an interesting use case that somebody used with ChatGPT when it first came out. Somebody logged into ChatGPT and said, hey, tell me a joke about Jesus Christ. And so ChatGPT responded with an off-color joke about the nails in Jesus' hands. And then the very next moment, they put in, please tell me a joke about the Prophet Muhammad. And ChatGPT said, as an AI engine, I am not permitted to make disrespectful jokes about people's religion. So you go, huh. So somebody took screenshots of that and posted it on Twitter, and then of course ChatGPT, they fixed it. But that is reflective of the people who wrote the code. So always take everything you're doing on ChatGPT with a grain of salt. Check your sources. Don't take what they say as gospel. ChatGPT can be wrong. So here's another big thing. 70% of digital transformations at companies, meaning companies are trying to transform digitally, trying to implement AI, trying to use new tools. 70% of those efforts will fail due to employee resistance. This is data from McKinsey. Okay, 70% will fail because employees will resist the change. So you have to do a major reset for the employees in order to get your changes done as a leader. So you have to evaluate your people, your culture, and your silos. Let's do an example. Who at this table is resistant to the idea that the leader's putting forward? Yes, it's Prince Harry over here, okay? Prince Harry has decided your idea is stupid, and he doesn't want anything to do with it, and he's very frustrated that you would even bring this up. He wants no part of it, and he is going to be a roadblock the entire time you try to implement this new tech. Why is he that way? Maybe he's scared. Maybe he worries he's going to be replaced. Maybe he feels he doesn't have the technical qualifications to do what you're talking about, and so he's very scared by it, so he's going to block it. And then who in this group is not going to help? Yeah, it's Taylor Swift right there. Okay, Taylor Swift has decided that this is dumb, and she's going to tune you out, and she's just going to passively aggressively resist the change. She's not going to respond to emails in a timely fashion. She's not going to get you the data that you asked for, or it's going to be incomplete. She's going to stall. She's going to make a problem. And so just so you know, this happened to one of our customers. I mean, it's happened to a lot of our customers, but one of them, a huge company, the CIO had to launch an internal investigation to figure out where the roadblock was, and come down to one woman in the procurement department who was passively aggressively resisting the change for an entire year, and she ended up costing the company $50 million because of her passive-aggressive resistance. And so as leaders, if you don't take a really good, hard look at your team and figure out who is not on board and get them on board and figure out why do they have a problem with these changes, what are they afraid of, what is causing the hardship for them. If you don't address that, you're not going to be able to get this done. So if you're that leader and you're trying to figure out how do I help my team, these are some great books to start with. I'm a huge fan of these 4 books. If you haven't read these books, you absolutely should. But reading these books really can help figure out how to handle these employees who are resistant to change, and also how to spot them. Body language is key. I always find that, I'll have 10 guys in a room from a company that I'm talking to about the buying cooperative, and 9 of them are leaning forward like, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and one of them's like this. I'm like, you're in procurement, aren't you? Yeah, we'll sort you out. But so anyway, those are the action items. Switch your data center, optimize your network, build and scale your AI, and evaluate your people, culture, and silos. If leaders do this, they will have successful digital transformations. So thank you very much.
Hi, officially, Missy. There's a lot to unpack here, isn't there? So we're scheduled to go to 9:15. I've got just a few questions, some things to frame up, and certainly some things to unpack. First, fantastic presentation. I absolutely noticed your shoes. They look a lot like mine. Yours look like the AI-enabled version, as opposed to mine, though.
I've always been a fan of fun footwear.
All right, so the title today was Commercial Real Estate and AI, which to me, I'm coming in here thinking, how is this industry using AI? I'm thinking chatbots answering service calls and making work orders. You mentioned automation and warehousing. The second part of the title, meeting the new demands, you really took a different turn. It's not so much about the interface, it's really about the infrastructure. When you put the picture of the Pope up there, I had a mind shift moment that while I've been trying to use AI, I'm of the 63% who believes that we need to implement this in our business. That was my mind shift moment. Because as we're trying to do this as a small business in Southern Nevada, you guys are handling all of the things on the back end. Specifically, it lands with power and the need for power. Mm-hmm. That's my big takeaway today. Is that?
Yep,
did I
that's
capture
pretty
that
much
correctly?
it. Yep, it's all about the infrastructure for us.
And so we talk about power and the need for power. We can jump right to some of the solutions. I know that you guys have a solar power, what are they called?
Solar field.
Solar field up I-15 going to Utah. So everyone here at NAIOP can come together and say, we'll give you all of our industrial rooftops, some of our office building rooftops. Let's as a community come together and bring solar power fields and power our community and our need for this infrastructure. Will that solve the problem?
Not for data centers. It might solve the problem for homes and for smaller businesses, but have you guys ever noticed Switch's buildings when you fly out of Vegas? You see them, you can see them all on the ground, they're huge. There's not one solar panel on the roof. And the reason is, even as big as our buildings are, if we covered all of our facilities with solar panels, that might power 10 of eBay's racks, and only during the daytime. Right, they need to be on at night too. So it's just not for the vast amount of power that data centers need. It's not enough. Now, when of course, we have solar on our house, and that's plenty. That works great because my house doesn't need anywhere. Well, it's getting close, but it doesn't need anywhere near as much power as the data centers need.
So when Suzette introduced me, she mentioned I have a podcast. I love podcasts. I listen to them. I have one. There's one that I started putting into my rotation called the All In Podcast. It's for tech entrepreneurs. They're all best friends. They get together. Two of them are kind of right-leaning. Two of them are left-leaning. But they come together, and they really talk about current events from politics to business to science, geopolitics. It was either last episode or the one before that where they talked about this exact issue. I really wasn't on my radar. You really brought it front of mind. That everyone knows, I don't think it's disputed now, there's a rise in AI, which is a rise in the need for power. This is nationally what they're talking about. And they said how further along China is and how much of an advantage they're going to have over us over time because they're further along with nuclear energy. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask your opinion. Is this true, or did I just say a curse word? Saying nuclear energy could be a solution. I
think the biggest curse words are Yucca Mountain. I think that's the one that makes everybody a little crazy. But nuclear energy is going to end up having to be the way that we go as a nation, I think, because it is the safest, cleanest way to generate a ton of power. And we're not talking about building nuclear power plants that like the ones that were built in the 50s. We're talking about the newest, latest, greatest power plants. And you can do micro nuclear power plants that produce 1 gigawatt. You can do big ones that do 50 gigawatts. But that's going to have to be the way that this country goes if we want to continue to be competitive. Because, solar can only do so much. It takes up a lot of land. I mean, how much of our forested land do we really want to cover in solar panels at some point? That's got to stop. Wind power is great as long as it's windy. So, you know,
make a good
there's,
point.
yeah, so I think nuclear is going to be the way that this country goes eventually.
I'll give you a skeptic kind of a question, if that's okay. I'm hearing you talk, and it's awesome when this community lands a business like FedEx or those kinds of companies. Most businesses in Southern Nevada are small businesses. I'll take my business, for example, and just, you know, when you're giving us your examples, how they're landing on me, we use Microsoft 365. I think that is our solution for the co-locating hybrid thing. I don't know exactly, but I think most small businesses either use that or Google for theirs. Is that
Those would be clouds.
clouds?
Yeah.
Thank you. Show you how much I know about this. I don't know if I'm competing with these big businesses that you're talking about, or if they really affect my day-to-day. I don't know. You talked about we are competing with the NVIDIAs and those companies. But for this room and this industry, on the back end, there's an infrastructure issue that you're raising. But really, how does it affect us? And dare I say, like, why should we care, and why should we care today?
Because every single one of your customers needs a place to run their machines. And so if they say, hey, I'm going to build an on-property data center in my new warehouse, you go, oh, let's talk about that. You know, are you an expert at designing, building, and operating world-class data centers? Because how much would downtime impact you? How much is that going to hurt? And what kind of machines are you going to run? Because, you know, we may not be able to get that much power actually even run to that building for what it is you're trying to do, especially if they're trying to do AI on those machines. So it's really important to talk to them about their, you know, what are their future goals with tech, because the building that you might be trying to put into may not have the capacity to do the data center component of the business that they need to run. And you may end up going to the utility and they say, sorry, they can't have any more power here. We're maxed out on this particular transformer. So now they're sunk.
2 minutes left. Dan, where are you, Dan?
The audience says keep going, Hayim.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is Switch using today to power their data center?
Yeah, so the question is, what is Switch using today to power their data centers? So it is a blend, meaning it's dependent upon whichever market that we're in, because we're in Vegas, Reno, Grand Rapids, Austin, Houston, and Atlanta. So it's a blend of solar, hydroelectric, geothermal, and wind. So that's what we do. Some more, some less. So in Michigan, there's a lot of wind power. So, and by the way, in Texas, when they had that huge ice storm that took down a lot of the wind farms, people said, see, wind doesn't work. You go, no, no. The wind operates really well in Michigan 100% of the time, even in their harshest winter weather conditions. It's because their wind propellers were all winterized. Nobody did that in Texas. Nobody paid the extra money to make sure it could withstand ice in Texas because they didn't think they would need to. So it does work. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in the solar industry.
Yeah. Really easily, okay? It's not about, for a lot of people, you're not necessarily going to convince them to go solar based on moral and ethical obligations of sustaining the planet and doing all those things. You got to go, your customers want you to be green, right? Your investors want you to be green. You're going to have terrible ESG scores if you're not at least doing this. And it can potentially save you money. If it saves you money and makes you look good to your companies, and it can become part of your own marketing story that you are a sustainable company, that's a no-brainer for most people. Yeah.
So we can guilt them into it. All right,
Well,
Suzette,
you
get
don't
the
even
last
have to guilt
question.
them. You just make it attractive to them. It's not necessarily about the planet. It's about their bottom line, right?
Last question with Suzette.
How does Nevada, or even Southern Nevada more specifically, stay at the forefront of leading in this industry, given the challenges that we have with power here? It takes a long time to build an industrial building or a switch building. It takes even longer to build a nuclear power plant. How are we going to stay shape the demand and stay on the forefront?
That's a great question, and it's definitely going to take a coalition of leaders and power providers to really be aggressive on how we implement new power plants and the demands that are coming. And so at some point, Nevada will, and every state will get to a point where they go, okay, it's push coming to shove. Are we going to build more power plants, or are we going to say we don't want to be on the forefront of that industry anymore? What are we going to do? Right? So I think there will become a push to go nuclear. I think there will be power plants that get built in Nevada. Because if we don't, then we're going to have to start sourcing power from other states. And I don't think any of us want our state to be in that position.
Take it away, Cassie.
All right. Thanks. Awesome. Can we get up?
You can go down.
Okay.
You can actually stay here so we can do a photo.
Okay. We're going to do a photo.
Thank you again. I am Missy. That was great. And yes, very eye-opening, I think, for many of us in the room. Thank you again to American Nevada Realty for sponsoring today. Thank you very much. If you're attending via Zoom, please take a moment to do the survey. And we will see you next month, Thursday, September 19th, right here at the Orleans. Have a great day.